I was welcomed into this wasteland by being shot in the head. Luckily, I had Doc Mitchell on my side as he patched me up. This is Can You Beat Fallout New Vegas without guns or melee? I then gave myself a name to reflect the role I would be playing, so I decided Dynamite Mike would fit perfectly. I then created my beautiful character of Dynamite Mike. Now it's time to pick my special skills, and I decide with 5 strength, 9 perception, 9 endurance, 6 intelligence, and 9 luck. The rest of my skills are explanatory. I proceed to answer all of Doc Mitchell's questions very slowly and carefully to make sure I answer every question right. I end up going with barter, explosives, and speech for my skills. For my traits, I picked up skilled and hot-blooded as they would be most useful, and off into the wasteland I went. I went to Chet's store to sell all of my undesirable weapons. I tried completing the tutorial, but dynamite doesn't count for knocking over the bottles. After that, I went up to the graveyard to collect the snow globe for caps later on. Before I head off to New Vegas, I made a pit stop at the NCR Correctional Facility to get more dynamite. So I proceeded to slaughter every powder ganger within a 100-foot radius. I made my way inside to slay even more of them as my dynamite proved to be effective. I made my way out of there with more dynamite to my name. I spotted a little shack on the outskirts of the prison and began to throw dynamite so I could collect some more explosives, which got me up to level 2. I then picked to upgrade my explosive, medicine, repair, and science skill, as well as choosing the heave-ho perk. I found some mines on the ground and picked them up to add to my arsenal. I found some powder gangers hanging around and wanted to join in on the fun, so I blew them up and took all of their loot. While looking through some boxes, I found some pulse grenades. On my way to New Vegas, I stopped by the Grub and Gulp to ask for some directions. I then stopped by the Gunrunners to sell more of my newly collected items for some extra caps. I found myself entering the Silver Rush to steal all their grenades and mines by using the bathroom trick. This took a while as I didn't have a stealth boy. Now to enter into New Vegas, you have to have at least 2,000 caps, so I began to gamble my life away. I made my way to the tops to confront Benny, as well as to collect some well-deserved XP. I then leveled up and put all my points into speech, explosives, and sneak, as well as choosing the Swift Learner perk. I set on my way to the Lucky 38 and talked to Mr. House, so I can convince Swank to let me kill Benny. Apparently, Benny and his crew don't like dynamite, so I throw a boatload of it at them. And I took the platinum chip off of Benny. But then I saw 2 powder gangers as I was on my way to Prim, so I blew both of the savages to pieces. As I walked into Prim, I found more mines that I had safely collected. I'm making my way downtown to free Deputy Bugle and restore law and order back to Prim. I run into a few ghouls on my way to the Mojave outposts, so I do what I do best. I blow them up. As I encroached on the Mojave outpost, I remembered that I had to clear out ants for Ranger Jackson. I made my way inside and spoke to Major Knight, and successfully restored law and order back to Prim. On my way to Novak, I found myself surrounded by Jackal gang members. I then proceeded to throw mines and grenades at them to wipe them off the face of this planet. After that, I ran into some traveling merchants who were selling dynamite. Then I helped Boone find who sold his wife into slavery, as I was going to need him as my companion for the rest of this run. Following after that, me and my new acquired friend headed to RepCon to help the ghouls. Helping Jason Bright, he told me to get rid of the Nightkin in the basement so that they could go to the Great Beyond, so I happily obliged. He gave me the key to the basement, and I went on my merry way to find these Nightkin. After entering the basement, I found Davison, the Nightkin leader, and his friend Antler. Davison, Antler, and I discussed what I would have to do for the Nightkin to leave the basement. They decided the best course of action was to get me to find a Pip-Boy shipment that should be in the back room. As I entered the room, I found a ghoul named Harland, so I decided to exterminate him so I could find the Pip-Boys. Luckily, Boone took care of him for me, allowing me to save my explosives. I then searched a terminal in the back of the room, and it said the Pip-Boys were sent back. So I went back to Davison and told him of the mistake. He didn't believe me, but Antler convinced Davison that I was telling the truth, so Davison and the rest of his gang left the basement, meaning the way was clear for the ghouls. I went back to Jason Bright to tell him of the wonderful news that the Nightkin were gone for good. As they all started running, I sneakily stole all their Rad-X and Radaway. I spoke to Jason one more time as we conversed about Chris and how he was being left behind. I wished Jason well and went on my way to talk to Chris about some components for the ship. He needed some thrust controls, so I retrieved them and brought it back. I finally went up to launch the rockets and watched as they blasted off into the great beyond. After getting my XP, I went to the Lucky 38 to discuss the platinum chip and handed it over, as I was going to be siding with Mr. House for this run. He told me to go to the basement so I could watch his demonstration. The most boring part of this run was listening to this. I felt like a baby trapped in a hot car watching this demonstration. After the demonstration, I was told by Mr. House to go meet Kaisar. So I had to talk to Cursor and made my way to the camp by boat. I then talked to Kaisar about the platinum chip. He wanted me to go down into Fortification Hill and destroy whatever was inside. But I couldn't do that, as it would fail the quest with Mr. House. So I decided to stick with Mr. House and activate the Securitrons. I inserted the chip and was on my way down to complete my mission. I then had to talk to Mr. House and tell him about what Kaisar said. He said it was nothing to worry about and told me to continue my mission. I accepted and headed down farther into the bunker. I ran into some robots and laser turrets, so I tried using plasma mines and grenades to kill them, thinking that was a good idea. But it wasn't, and that didn't work out so well for me, as I proceeded to die over and over and over again. Finally, I killed the turrets and inserted the chip to upgrade the Securitrons to Mark II. After that, I talked with Mr. House and he wanted me to go see the boomers and to get them on his side for the Battle of Hoover Dam. Following my interaction with the guards, I had to talk with Pearl and help out the boomers around Nellis. I successfully helped them out and had to go unsink a bomber that crashed before the war. So I just kept swimming. After reaching the bomber, I had to attach floats to it and detonate them from a safe distance. And boom, the airplane came shooting out of the water. I headed back to Pearl and told her of my success, and she agreed to help Mr. House at Hoover Dam. I went back to the Lucky 38 and talked with Mr. House, who wanted me to investigate the Gomorrah Casino and see what they were up to. I then pickpocketed Cachino for his journal and forced him to tell me what Big Sal was planning. A man by the name of Taroki was hired by Big Sal and was smuggling weapons into Vegas. I talked to Big Sal about releasing Taroki from his contract. I then got a key from Taroki and set thermite on the weapon boxes and detonated them. After that, I talked to Big Sal and told him that he was going to die. Now, I didn't have any weapons, so I let Boone carry me. Following the slaughter at Gomorrah, I talked to Mr. House and he wanted me to take out the Brotherhood of Steel. I got help to enter the bunker and then went on my way to steal the keycards to detonate the bunker. After stealing all the keycards, I proceed to initiate the self-destruct sequence. Following my escape from the bunker, I went to Mr. House for the second to last time, as I needed to collect supplies before I took on the Battle of Hoover Dam. Mr. House tells me how proud he is of me and sends me on my way to collect the last resources I need. This run has come a long way, and I would personally like to thank everyone who has watched the video this far. Comment "The House always wins" if you've made it this far. I finally, for the last time, speak to Mr. House and am sent off to Hoover Dam. I run my way through hordes of enemies to ensure that I have enough explosives for the final fight. I make my way into the dam and throw grenades at the guards who are protecting the room I need to get into. I install the override chip and speak to Mr. House. My mission at the dam is over. Now time to face the Legion. After all this time, I make it to Legate Lanius's fort and try to de-escalate, but that doesn't work as my speech is too low. So in the end, I must fight him. I throw 2 grenades and he finally perishes from this life. After all that, there's only one legionary standing, so I blow him up. Now that there's nothing standing between me and the door, I try to leave, but General Lee Oliver blows down the door and stops me. We converse for a moment, and he doesn't agree to me taking the dam for Mr. House, so he decides to shoot me. And I throw my final grenades and beat the game. So yes, you can beat Fallout New Vegas without guns or melee weapons.